Unexpected Color Combinations and Vibrating Colors with Sam Gosney, Dayton Thompson, and Louise Bernard. So, what are they exactly? In short, they're color combinations that don't necessarily work with each other. They fall under a category referred to as color discord, or, the opposite of color harmony. They aren't balanced, they usually don't appear next to each other on the color wheel, and they usually excite uncomfortable feelings. They play with saturation and intensity, and often compete with one another for attention. We are pattern-seeking creatures. Our eyes and brain are able to take in an incredible amount of information and discern patterns from it immediately. In art, we are used to seeing light and shadow, great contrast and easily identifiable focal points, subjects, and the like. When the piece of art you're looking at has colors that are all competing for your attention, it can be overwhelming to look at. In more scientific or academic terms, you generally increase the saturation of a color near its opposite on the color wheel, like orange and purple, blue and red, or yellow and blue. These color combinations seem to glow and move with our eyes because they have a hard time concentrating on what's in front of us. However, we've used this kind of effect in multiple types of art over the years. Starting with traditional art, let's take a look at Neo Rausch, a German painter who is currently creating art using an unexpected color palette in much of his work. He purposefully uses clashing colors in his surreal art style to make the viewer slightly uncomfortable, but not so much that you look away, just enough to draw attention to certain subjects in his pieces and to look around and search through his work. His work feels otherworldly and foreign, drawing in your attention and keeping it there. Dissonant colors have also been used to great effect in movies. Here, in Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, he uses blue, yellow, green, and pink, all in lower saturation to bring out a sense of the alien. Victor, who is in gray, is a live man, and out of place in the underworld of the dead, who are all bright and full of color. Discordant colors were all the rage in the 1960s rock culture band posters. Deeply bright and saturated colors all compete for the attention of the viewer and make it hard to look at. Those interested in these bands needed to take a good long look at the poster to see who was playing when, and the subject matter of these posters were also memorable and stuck in the viewer's mind. The world of fashion is always looking for new and unexpected ways to turn clothing into a statement. It's become more and more commonplace to pair different items of clothing with dissonant colors to draw in attention from others. These colors are usually balanced in terms of dominance and texture. Items of a similar size may balance each other out if they are of a similar texture. Smaller, more visually textured items can also balance that of larger items if they aren't front and center. Recent interior design trends also capture this effect well when putting together a room. Patterns, colors, textures, and materials all take the eyes on an interesting trip around the room. They create their own statements as a space and deliver with a personality instead of a flat blankness that can reduce a room to its bare functionality. Whether or not you like what those statement pieces have to say is something else entirely. Look at this one. I hate it. Someone thought that was a good idea, and I can't fathom why. Moving on to popular kids items, we have the world's most recognizable folders, backpacks, stickers, and pencil cases to anyone who went to middle school in the 90s. Lisa Frank. These items were fought over regularly at lunch, and the resulting tears and triumphs echoed through the halls of public schools throughout the nation. Frank's bright, multicolored designs captivated a whole generation of children to the point of visual pollution, and we thank her for it to this day, though her designs have fallen out of the mainstream pop culture. These color palettes can very easily go wrong. The colors can vibrate, the patterns can confuse, and they can get muddy very easily. So here's some tricks on how to make them work. To demonstrate these, we'll use some of the works of Wolf Kahn, another German-born artist who maintained his studio until 1995 and passed away in 2020. Each of these use a kind of principle we've already discussed this term and help draw the attention of the viewer in different kinds of ways. 1. Light and dark. Dissonant colors tend to compete with each other. One of the ways to draw the attention of a specific area is by bringing in some darker hues for contrast. The lighter colors will naturally stand out and draw the eye there. 2. Mixing saturations. Similar to light and dark, mixing saturations of a color can draw and deter attention as well as create a sense of depth. See here how the green hills get lighter towards the right. That evokes the sense of round hills, so the eye will naturally drift towards the right. The same thing goes for the sky. 3. Creating and breaking patterns. As our brains naturally seek out patterns to absorb a lot of information all at once, breaks in the patterns draw our attention. The dark trees and upright trunks fill most of the center of this painting from left to right. So our eyes all drop to the bottom as the light of the grass calls to us. Almost as if our eyes cast to the ground as we walk past a dark, foreboding forest. 4. Negative space. Just like patterns, breaks in negative space can make our eyes gravitate towards a subject. In this case, the gray negative space enhances the brightness of the colors and create a visually interesting pattern. Now, something to be aware of is how these colors show up on a screen. The world is becoming increasingly digital, and that calls for mindfulness when creating something for the internet. Not only for the ease of the viewer, but also for the colorblind. Since paint and pixels show up differently to the eye, some color combinations can entirely wipe out text, make it unreadable. When designing with this in mind, desaturate the colors to gray and see how they still show up. This not only makes your work more accessible, but the increased contrast can also make your work more legible to the average viewer. Color surrounds us, in a literal sense. It decorates our bodies, our environments, and our entire existence. As we gain more and more access to the millions of colors our world can offer us, we need to think beyond what is readily pleasing and popular. Discordant colors can satisfy a different itch than analogous, tetratic, and complementary colors. When used well, they bring a whole new perspective on the world and open our eyes to previously impossible possibilities.